So let's cover 15 tips for the Demonweb Pits dungeon. First of all, as a bonus tip, you can just skip this initial ad group on the left there by jumping over here. You can also just all run to the campfire, defeat yourselves, and wait till the ads run back to their spawns, revive, and go to the first boss. Now the first tip is coordinating your team. You want to sort your artifacts, your mounts, your auras, your companions, and your companion enhancements, along with then things like the Vistani set, Apocalypse set, and the Marilith set. Most importantly, sort artifacts. You ideally want these top 5. Companion enhancement. You ideally want DPS using armor break, dulled, and vulnerability. Tank and healer can use like slowed or personal. Then for mounts, your tank and healer should have eclipse and swarm. For your companions, you probably want somebody on like tutor, portobello, dredged, or spine devil. You do not need a black death scorpion here, except for like the last boss. It might help a little bit. And then for auras, you ideally want one person on runic, another on mystic, and another on pack tactics. Now, first of all, a bonus tip. This boss is considered a demon, so you can use that to your advantage with overloads and boons. So tip number 2, on the first boss, artifact calls. You ideally want to cast artifacts right from the beginning. That way you can most likely phase through her clone phase, where she splits off into multiple copies of herself, and you'll just have to damage one of them in order to break the phase. But if you do enough damage during the artifact call, you'll immediately skip it like we do here. From there, you want to artifact call every time, either after she's done her eye laser or she's finished doing meteors. Tip number 3, for the healer, focus on the tank. DPS will barely take any damage in this fight. The only real time they take unavoidable damage is when they get the green line and get thrown to the other side of the arena and take some fall damage. If they're taking damage from the meteors, skill issues. So just focus your tank. He should not be dying in this fight as a result of lack of heals. A bonus tip, don't be positioning yourself between the boss and the middle, because sometimes she can be doing her attacks and kill you when she moves to the middle. But you can get the advantage of body blocking her. Tip number 4, avoid the red areas. Don't get hit by these meteors. Don't get hit by these fireballs. Don't stand in them. Fireballs will follow anybody who's dealt the most damage to them or has the most threat on them. They will eventually deteriorate and explode, so don't be near them either. Another bonus tip is when she's going to do that eye laser, she will always begin to the left of the entrance you came in. So another bonus tip is when you're killing these ads, try and use some crowd control. The more, the better. If they can't attack you, they're not dealing any damage and they won't be able to kill you. When you get to the steps right here, ideally gather all the ads to the stairs and kill them there. And when fighting this mini boss and he spawns this red area on the ground, he will summon 2 demons. Be ready to use some crowd control, stun them, and they won't kill you. Bonus tip for the second boss, he is considered a drow. However, Orcus and all the demons are, yes, demons. So tip number 5, bring some crowd control powers. As the healer, I potentially could use some crowd control, but I'm not 100% sure on doing that without sacrificing my divinity, which would sacrifice the team's survivability as a whole. You're better off relying on the DPS using their crowd control. It will depend on what classes you have, what sources they can use. This boss will regularly spawn in some ads, and the majority of them can be controlled by stuns, dazes, incapacitations, and also knockdowns and pushbacks. Use what you can to avoid them killing you. Now, a bonus tip when fighting Gromp, make sure you're close to him. Even if you're ranged DPS, make sure you're close to him. If you're further than like 30 feet away, he will jump to you continually and then move back to the tank. And if you're still 30 feet away, he'll jump to you again. Him jumping to you can happen when you're just killing ads without really being able to help it. Just try and make sure you're full HP or he could kill you. Tip number 6, artifacts for this boss. They can be pretty critical to success. You want to use artifacts every time you burn down the boss's shield. So you saw, as soon as we are about to break that shield, we go for artifacts and we get a ton of damage in. 30 seconds later, the boss will shield back up again. Then when you get Orcus spawning in, you can go artifacts as long as he's nearly full hit points and just burn him down to that 50% mark. Just be aware of the phasing and when the ads spawn. We'll cover that in tip 7. But more critically is you want to have an artifact call for when Orcus is just below 50%. When you finish killing those ads, go artifacts and just kill him as soon as possible. The sooner he's dead, the pressure is relieved off the tank and the healer and things will go smoother. Now once Orcus is gone, Gromp will come back, but he will be shielded again. So you're just going to take it slow. Burn down the shield, ideally align it so that you break the shield just when you finished killing all the ads that have spawned in, and then it's back to another artifact call, getting as much damage in. However, be aware you need to have artifacts for the end phase of this boss, or you may end up just wiping. What you ideally want to do, chip the boss's hit points down to just below 10%. Let him shield up. Wait for the ad group. Once you have killed the ads, then you can go back to the boss, but he would have shielded just like this. Ideally, you'll have enough damage to break the shield within 1 minute and then go artifacts and kill him. If you have a really low damage group, chip the shield down to like 5%, then wait for the next ad group. Kill the ads, then break his shield, and then go artifacts and kill him. It is a heal check, so make sure healer has full divinity. So tip number 7 is phasing. This boss will summon ads every minute. Additionally, he will summon ads at 75% of his hit points and when Orcus reaches 50% of his hit points. So be careful of your timing. You're getting an ad group every minute and you're getting an ad group at those HP thresholds. If you end up getting 2 waves of ads at once, it could be a whole wipe. When you do get the ads spawning in, you can see which ones will spawn on which summoning circle. Thanks to Steamroller for creating this, with then his priority of which ads you should kill first. Just be aware of the main. You can stand next to him and he won't continue to leap at you and kill you. Tip number 8, the tank. As the tank here, you want to be careful of your positioning. Move the boss to the edge of the arena. That way you give lots of room for your damage dealers to dodge around the place and target the ads that have spawned in. You do not want to go and get the attention of the ads that spawn, as you'll end up just having the ad right next to the boss and they'll cause targeting issues. Make sure you have mitigation for the tank buster, which occurs every 40 seconds once you get Gromp to 50% of his hit points. Be extra careful when you have Orcus plus tank busters. Make sure you got that daily power for that mitigation. Also, when you're in a group with not that much CC, as the tank, you can grab the attention of the succubus and also the main, as those will be like the 2 most damaging ones for the DPS. They can nearly one-shot in each of their hits, and so when you're just fighting Gromp, who doesn't deal much damage, you can do that little bit of an extra part, grabbing the succubus so he doesn't go and kill everybody else. But when fighting Orcus, you'll usually have enough on your plate that you don't really want to aggro any of the ads. Leave them to the DPS so you can take the balls and Orcus's hits without getting wrecked. Tip number 9 is the healer. Be aware of the DPS getting some big hits from the ads. The tank should not need much healing other than when they're about to take a tank buster and when they're fighting Orcus. Be particularly ready when the tank is going to take a tank buster again every 40 seconds. When fighting Orcus, that Orcus might slap them for like 1,000,000 just before the tank buster. So you're obligated to heal them up before they have to take that. And otherwise, just make sure you got that full divinity and are ready to heal your whole team a lot when you get Grump down to that 5% and you're in the Sunfall phase. Everybody will take a lot of damage, which will increase over time. Tip number 10 is DPS. Make sure you're positioning for combat advantage against your enemy. Ideally, don't go and push your ad all the way to the edge of the arena because you won't be able to position for combat advantage as easily. Additionally, don't aggro something you can't deal with. If you don't have some CC powers ready, Don't go and attack some ad who's just going to beat the heck out of you. Let another DPS take it, or the tank, or even the healer. Be ready with your stones of health if need be, and make sure you're using your immunity frames. That is going to be the key to your success, along with what crowd control powers you're using. When fighting Orcus, you might want to save your daily powers to help kill the ads quicker, especially when you get them to 50% and you end up with like a double wave of ads. Not ideal, but you need to be careful of that phasing. When you get certain ads, there will be ones that will deal more damage than others. You want to prioritize the Baler, as he will heal and buff the other ads. Then you want to focus the Succubus and the Main, because they are going to deal an absolute ton of damage. However, there is a cultist who will spawn, and you can crowd control the cultist before it summons another demon. But you can avoid that unnecessary business if you just crowd control it and then kill it. So then we're on to the third boss, Loth. Bonus tip, she is considered a drow, a demon, and a spider. Make sure to use that to your advantage. Tip number 11 is for the healer. Make sure to slot in a cleanse power. This boss is not going to really do any damage to DPS other than when the spiders spawn. So have a cleanse power ready for the tank. You will see on their buff bar that they will regularly receive a green poison effect, like right here. I go and cleanse it. And that way the tank doesn't take heavy damage over time. They overall just take less damage then. They don't have their stamina drained. And they'll have a lot better time blocking the attacks they actually need to. And just focus healing them. Again, DPS should not be taking damage if they're playing mechanics properly. Other than when the spiders appear and the godly weapon is there, and potentially when the webs appear and they need to dash out of it. Tip number 12 is for the tank specifically. Make sure to block Loth's right hand attack, which is this one right here. Her hand glows red and you need to immunity frame it. We did lose aggro there, we taunted and we use mitigation and we take the hypo. Bam! You need to have that daily power for that. At a certain point in the fight, you can just rely on taunts instead of needing to use divinity for threat. That way you can save that divinity for when you need it to block. Now the way you can get the timing for this hand well is she will initially use her left hand and cause a chain between two people. When that chain appears right here, be on the lookout for the little spider. The little spider is going to be always before she goes and does the hand effect, which is the knockback for the hypo. So you see the little spider to my right there. I'm running away from it. It wants to come to me. Run away from it. You do not want to get hit by that. I block her right hand attack, and now we're taking the hypo. On the later phases, the red spider will be a red area and not actually be on the arena like it was there. I'm now watching out for the hand attack. I've just gone in tab. There's the hand. And we move away for the hypo. So the boss isn't hitting us while we have to take all this big damage. The pattern becomes a little different. Like you'll get your chain effect here. Then you will get the webs on the ground. She will move to somebody randomly. Put the webs down. And you need to move away. Then once you have done the spread effect, the grab spider will appear again, and that's when you need to be careful for, again, her attack, the knockback for the hypo. So we'll go into tab here, automatically blocking it. We got the red spider there, grab like a companion. Then we get the red hand attack, we block it, and we move away for the hypo, making sure, of course, to grab aggro back. Tip number 13 is artifact calls for this boss. You want to save them initially for after the first spread, which is when you get the red areas. Move, come back, and go artifacts. Then you will get spiders appearing on the arena. You will get artifacts again at a certain point, but wait until the spiders are dead. You'll then go artifacts and get the boss to 50%. Then depending what happens with the godly weapon, if you fail to break it with like the bulbous spider, you may need to go artifacts on that weapon. And when Loth gets back, again, go artifacts when ready on Loth. Ideally after the spread mechanic so you don't end up colliding it with that. And you'll just keep doing artifact calls when it suits, ideally after the spread, until she's dead. So a bonus tip, when you do get to 50% of lost hit points, you will phase like this with the platform and you'll get the rocks falling. The 2 people at the top of the platform will take the rocks. You can count to 6 rock falls, and at the 6th one, that's when the platform usually tilts. So you can time it and try avoid it. But usually you want to have the tank at the top, and then also either the healer who's just going to sacrifice themselves or a DPS. Usually they will die to that, and that's just kind of sad. Here's a drawing of it from Drakery, where you would see like the ideal positionings you'd have on the platform so that DPS ideally don't die unless you lose damage. So tip number 14 is the godly weapon phase. Here, everybody will take damage over time, and as the healer, you'll need to keep them healed. Now, you will also have this bulbous spider, which you can attempt to kill adjacent to the godly weapon in order for it to explode and deal damage to the weapon. Now, I'm still not entirely sure exactly the correct positioning in order to get it to do so at 100% of the time. It seems to have a bit of RNG, but with any luck, you'll kill the spider right next to the weapon, it'll explode and like either kill the weapon or do a lot of damage to it. If that fails, well, you're just going to have to kill all the heal spiders, which are these guys. They'll originally spawn on the outside of the arena, and you'll want to push them off so that they spawn in the middle. When they spawn in the middle, you can then kill them much easier all grouped up. Or you can just kill 2 of them and crowd control it like we do here, and then kill the weapon with your artifact call. Again, everybody's taking increased damage over the time, so the longer this phase takes, the more likely the healer will run out of resources and you'll all die. So tip number 15 is the purple webs. After the phase of the godly weapon, she will occasionally turn around to somebody and put webs on them. If it's on the tank, well, it'll just be straight in front. And you just gotta move away. Move out of the webs where they were. You need to pay attention where they were so that you aren't running into them. You can immunity frame the webs so you don't take damage from it. Just dodging around the place. Occasionally you will see the webs pop up again there, but during the spread, don't move into the webs. And that's about it. Good luck on your Demonweb Pit runs, and hopefully this has been somewhat insightful and helpful to you guys with these 15 tips, with some bonus tips thrown in here and there. It will, of course, take you practice on your roll to optimize your timing of certain powers to align with those mechanics to end up getting smoother runs. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.